I never thought a normal evening at our shared apartment could spiral into a nightmare or a fantasy, depending on how you looked at it. My name is Alex, I'm 24, and until recently, my life followed a comfortably predictable rhythm. Wake up, commute to work, come home, and collapse on the couch. Nothing extraordinary ever happened until Ryan, my roommate, started talking about his experiment. Ryan wasn't just any roommate. He was brilliant, bordering on reckless, a self-proclaimed scientist with a curiosity that often tipped into obsession. He had this way of thinking outside the box, a mix of charm and audacity that made it impossible to say no when he pitched some new idea. Most of the time, his experiments were harmless, a new recipe, a strange gadget, or a social experiment. But this time, I could feel a different energy in the air. Something risky. Something personal. As I settled into the apartment that evening, the faint scent of his perfume, he always claimed it stimulated scientific creativity, mingled with the aroma of coffee he had brewed hours earlier. My life had always been structured and private, and though I was open-minded, I never shared my secret with anyone. Not friends, not family, not even MIA.
Mia.
Just saying her name made my heart tighten. She was my girlfriend, my anchor in the chaos of life. Brilliant, witty, and endlessly patient, MIA somehow tolerated my quirks, like my love for quiet evenings at home, my obsession with books, and, yes, my private fascination with crossdressing. It was something I indulged in alone, a secret pleasure I could never fully share. The thought of her seeing me that way was both thrilling and terrifying. That night, Ryan leaned against the kitchen counter, his usual smirk plastered across his face. "Alex," he said casually, as if we were discussing nothing more serious than what to order for dinner, "I have a proposition for you." I froze, mid-sip of water. His eyes glimmered with mischief. "Proposition?" I repeated cautiously. "Yes," he said, pushing off the counter and walking toward me. "It's an experiment. One that could change the way you see yourself permanently." I laughed nervously, trying to mask the unease curling in my stomach. "Permanently? That sounds intense." "Exactly," he replied. "But trust me, it's perfectly safe. I just need someone willing to participate fully." I frowned. Ryan had always been persuasive, but something in his tone made me pause. The air felt heavier, charged, as if the walls themselves were listening. "You know I'm not exactly into volunteering for whatever you're planning," I said slowly, trying to gauge his intentions. Ryan leaned in, lowering his voice. "Alex, think about it. How many times have you wondered what it would be like to step completely into someone else's shoes? To explore another side of yourself?" My pulse quickened. He was talking about my secret, the part of me I never admitted even to myself, let alone MIA. A thrill ran through me, tempered by fear. I don't know if," I started, but Ryan interrupted, placing a hand on my shoulder with an intensity that made me shiver. "No pressure. You can back out any time, at least theoretically." His smirk returned, sharper now. "But I think you'll enjoy it more than you realize." MIA arrived that evening, and the apartment instantly felt lighter. She smiled, as radiant as ever, her presence a reminder of normalcy. "Hey, what's going on?" she asked, setting down her bag. "Just discussing an experiment," Ryan said smoothly, brushing past her as if she weren't even there. "Alex might participate." I felt a wave of panic. MIA's gaze landed on me, curious and warm. She had no idea what Ryan meant, and I couldn't bring myself to tell her. Not yet. My secret, my private thrill, remained mine alone. "I think I'll pass," I said quickly, forcing a casual laugh. "I've got some work to finish." Ryan tilted his head, studying me. "Suit yourself. But I have a feeling this is only the beginning." MIA laughed, unaware of the tension swirling around us. She grabbed my hand. "Don't let him talk you into anything weird, okay?" "I won't," I assured her, though a small, forbidden part of me whispered that maybe I already had been drawn in. After she went to her room, Ryan leaned against the counter again, eyes glinting with amusement. "You'll think about it," he said. "And when you do, you'll see just how much fun it can be." I sat in the living room long after MIA had fallen asleep, my thoughts a jumble of excitement, fear, and curiosity. Ryan's proposition had awakened something inside me I had barely acknowledged, the desire to explore fully, to transform, not just for a night, but perhaps for something far deeper. Little did I know, by the time the week was over, my life would be unrecognizable. The experiment Ryan had proposed would blur the line between fantasy and reality, secrecy and exposure. And as I drifted into a restless sleep, the faint sound of Ryan's laughter echoed in my mind, a promise and a warning of the changes to come. The next morning, the apartment felt different, charged with a quiet tension. Ryan was already up, tinkering with gadgets at the kitchen counter, humming softly to himself. I stayed in my room longer than usual, staring at the ceiling, trying to push down the fluttering in my chest. Part of me was terrified. Part of me curious. Curiosity won. I opened my laptop, pretending to work, but my mind wandered to Ryan's words. Step into someone else's shoes, explore another side of yourself. He had known exactly how to hook me, to make the idea feel thrilling rather than frightening. I had always indulged in private moments of crossdressing, but they were fleeting. Always safe. Always secret. Ryan was suggesting something permanent, or at least more serious than I had ever dared. By midday, Ryan appeared in my doorway, holding a small black box. "Ready?" he asked casually, as if he weren't about to change my life. I froze. I'm not sure. He smiled. "Don't worry. No pressure, technically. But think of it as an experiment in self-discovery. Besides, I've prepared everything. All you have to do is follow my instructions." I swallowed hard. My pulse raced, a mixture of fear and anticipation. "Instructions?" "Yes," he said, opening the box to reveal neatly folded clothes, delicate fabrics, and a pair of heels that gleamed under the morning sun. "For tonight, you'll try on these. Just a simple trial run. I need to see how you respond." The clothes were unmistakably feminine. A soft pastel blouse, a fitted skirt, delicate stockings. The heels were small but intimidating. My heart pounded as I held the blouse, feeling the texture between my fingers. It wasn't just fabric, it was a promise of transformation, of stepping into a version of myself I had only glimpsed in secret. "You really want me to wear these?" I asked, my voice trembling. Ryan shrugged. "If you're brave enough. Don't worry, I'll guide you. And if at any point you feel uncomfortable, we stop. Deal?" I hesitated, then nodded. Something deep inside me had already made the choice. The first step was the clothes. I shut the door behind me and began the process, each piece a small revelation. The blouse was soft against my skin, the skirt clinging in ways that made me feel vulnerable and exposed. I slipped into the stockings, feeling the smooth fabric stretch along my legs. And then the heels. I almost stumbled, gripping the edge of the dresser for balance. The sensation was foreign, thrilling, and a little humiliating. Standing in front of the mirror, I saw a reflection that was both me and not me. My chest pressed slightly against the blouse, my legs elongated by the heels, my features softened by the contrast of the outfit. I felt a jolt of fear and excitement, the kind that made my stomach twist. Could I really do this? Could I really become this version of myself? Even temporarily? Ryan's voice from the doorway broke my reverie. "You look good. Better than I expected." I blushed, unsure whether to feel pride or shame. "Good? You mean like this?" He nodded, stepping closer. "Exactly. Comfortable? Or overwhelmed?" "Both," I admitted. "I've never felt like this before." "That's the point," he said. "The experiment isn't just about clothes. It's about exploring identity, sensation, and boundaries." As the hours passed, Ryan guided me through the subtleties of my new form. How to walk in heels without tipping over. How to hold my posture so the outfit looked natural. How to adjust the blouse, the skirt, the stockings for maximum effect. I learned to tilt my head just right, to shift weight from one leg to the other, to make my movements appear fluid and confident. Each adjustment made me more aware of myself, more conscious of my body, and how it could be perceived. I felt exposed, yes, but also strangely empowered. Every glance in the mirror revealed a new version of me, one that was confident, soft, and undeniably feminine. I couldn't deny the thrill, but alongside the excitement was fear.
Mia.
My thoughts kept drifting to her. What would she think if she saw me like this? Would she laugh? Be horrified? Reject me? The thought tightened my chest and made me falter, even as I tried on a delicate bracelet Ryan handed me. Ryan noticed my hesitation. Thinking about her, he asked casually. I nodded, silent. Good, he said, smiling. This is part of the experiment. The closer you get to your fear, the more intense the response. Embrace it. Feel it. Learn from it. He was right. I forced myself to breathe, to let the anxiety coexist with the thrill. My reflection in the mirror became a focal point, a mirror of my internal struggle. I felt both fragile and powerful. As the day turned into evening, Ryan proposed the next step: makeup. He handed me a kit, complete with foundation, blush, eyeliner, and lipstick. My hands shook as I touched the products. The idea of altering my face, of masking my masculine features, and emphasizing a softer, feminine appearance was terrifying and intoxicating. Under Ryan's guidance, I began. Foundation first, smoothing over my skin, watching my features soften. Blush added warmth to my cheeks. Eyeliner and mascara made my eyes larger, more expressive. Lipstick completed the transformation, a delicate pink that made me feel vulnerable, beautiful, and undeniably exposed. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. The person staring back was me, and yet entirely someone else. A quiet thrill coursed through me. This was more than crossdressing, it was becoming, and I could feel the lines between fear and desire blur. Ryan's experiment didn't stop at appearance. He wanted me to inhabit the role, to act, to speak, to move as this new persona. He set up scenarios, answering the door, making tea, even performing small gestures like tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. Each task forced me to internalize the transformation, to step fully into the character. It was exhausting, exhilarating, and terrifying. Every movement reminded me of MIA, of how my secret life could shatter if discovered. The thrill of being caught added an edge, a dangerous pleasure that made my heart race. As night fell, Ryan stepped back, observing. You've done well today, but the real test comes when you're alone, with no guidance and no one watching. That's when you'll see what you're truly capable of and how far this experiment can go. Alone in my room, the quiet hum of the apartment felt different now. Every creak of the floorboards, every shadow seemed amplified. I was no longer just Alex, the ordinary roommate, the boyfriend, the man who kept secrets. I was someone else, someone daring, delicate, and exposed. I tried to relax, but the heels clicked against the floor, the skirt brushed against my legs, and the makeup highlighted features I had never acknowledged. The thrill and fear intertwined, and I realized this was only the beginning. The experiment wasn't just about clothes or appearance. It was about identity, boundaries, and transformation. And as I drifted towards sleep, a small, forbidden thought whispered in my mind, what if I never went back? The following days blurred into a strange routine. Every morning, Ryan would test a new aspect of the experiment. How I moved, how I spoke, how I handled situations in my feminine form. I had grown more confident, yet a part of me remained tense, acutely aware that MIA's return from her weekend trip could shatter everything. One afternoon, Ryan announced a final assessment. Today, he said, you'll experience a social test. You'll be fully dressed, fully made up, and you'll handle interactions as her, for now, just me as the observer. But I won't intervene. This will show me, and you, how far you've come. I felt a shiver. A social test? Alone? I glanced at the mirror. My reflection stared back with soft eyes, painted lips, and a body draped in skirts and heels. I barely recognized myself anymore. Ryan set up the first scenario, answering the door. Someone will knock. Treat it as if you're a stranger meeting me for the first time, he instructed. My pulse quickened as the knock came. I opened the door with a tentative smile, my posture precise, my voice slightly higher than usual. Ryan observed silently, taking notes on my poise and tone. You did well, he said, nodding. Confidence is improving. But real challenge comes with unplanned obstacles. Are you ready? I swallowed hard. I guess so. Before I could brace myself, the apartment buzzer rang. MIA. My heart froze. She had returned early. My secret, my delicate experiment, teetered on the edge of exposure. I turned to Ryan, panic in my eyes. She's here. Stay calm, he said firmly. Trust what you've learned. I adjusted my posture, smoothed my skirt, and opened the door. MIA stood there, suitcase in hand, her expression unreadable. My throat tightened. Hey, I didn't expect you back so soon, I managed, voice trembling slightly. She smiled faintly, stepping inside. Yeah, flight got rescheduled. I thought I'd surprise you. My mind raced. Every step she took, every glance, magnified my anxiety. I was dressed completely, my makeup flawless, my body shaped by the experiment. If she noticed, if she saw through the illusion, everything would be exposed. MIA's gaze lingered on me. You look different, she said softly. My heart thumped painfully. Different was an understatement. Just trying something new, I stammered, feeling heat rush to my cheeks. She tilted her head, eyes narrowing slightly. Really? Something new? Alone. Ryan, in the background, whispered, Stay calm. Act natural. I nodded, though my hands shook. Every movement felt amplified. I poured tea, arranged snacks, smiled when she smiled, all the while monitoring her reactions. Her expression shifted between curiosity, amusement, and subtle suspicion. I realized then that she wasn't just looking at the outfit or the makeup. She was observing my behavior, the subtle mannerisms Ryan had coached me to emulate. The next test came in the form of a phone call, unexpected, but perfectly orchestrated by Ryan. The ringtone blared, and MIA answered it, stepping into the other room. I stood frozen, heels clicking against the floor as my internal panic rose. Alone, I tried to move silently toward the bedroom to change back, but the thought of abandoning the persona now, in front of her, terrified me. What if she discovered everything while I fumbled? My hands trembled as I attempted to adjust my skirt, straighten my hair, and remain calm. A sudden knock at the door made me jump. It was a neighbor, someone I hadn't expected, delivering a package. My mind spun. Could I interact convincingly? Could I maintain the persona I had built, even under pressure? Taking a deep breath, I opened the door. My voice was firm but gentle, my movements poised. Hello, I'm Alex, I said, using the new persona's name Ryan had suggested. The neighbor smiled, handed the package, and left. My knees nearly buckled in relief. I had survived the first real challenge without revealing my secret. But the true twist came minutes later. MIA returned from the phone call, her expression slightly more serious. You know, Alex, you've changed, she said softly, stepping closer. It's not just the clothes, it's everything. Your voice, the way you move, your presence. Panic and exhilaration collided inside me. She was noticing, really noticing. I tried to smile, to deflect, to act natural, but the pounding of my heart betrayed me. MIA's gaze drifted to the mirror. My reflection stared back at both of us, a testament to the experiment, a mirror of dual identity. Who are you really? She whispered. The question hung in the air, heavy and impossible to ignore. My hands trembled as I clutched the edge of the dresser. Ryan's voice echoed in my memory. Embrace it. Feel it. Learn from it. I had two choices. Retreat, revert to my male self, and risk humiliation, or stand firm in this new identity and face the unknown. The tension escalated further when a sudden knock at the door revealed Ryan returning with an urgent message. The lab, the experiment, the final step was ready. He explained quickly, The process could finalize the transformation permanently. There was no turning back after this stage. MIA's eyes widened. Permanently, she asked. Fear and awe mingled in her voice. I felt a cold sweat. Permanent. Forever. My mind raced. Could I risk it? Could I step fully into this new version of myself, knowing MIA's judgment, the world's reactions, and my own uncertainty? Ryan's presence felt like both safety and temptation. He guided me toward the room where the final procedure would happen. My heels clicked against the floor, every step weighted with suspense, every movement a delicate dance between desire, fear, and inevitability. Inside the room, I faced a mirror. Ryan explained the final process, a combination of experimental enhancements that would solidify my feminine form. My heart raced. I could see my reflection. Alex, transformed, poised, beautiful, yet trembling with vulnerability. MIA stood behind me, silent, watching. Her presence was both comforting and terrifying. I turned slowly, meeting her gaze. If I do this, it's forever, I whispered. She nodded, her expression unreadable. I trust you to know what you want, but this is a big step. I took a deep breath. The heels pressed against the floor, the skirt hugged my form, the makeup highlighted every emotion. I felt the duality of fear and thrill, vulnerability and empowerment. Ryan activated the process. Lights flickered, a soft hum filled the room. My body tingled, my reflection shimmered, and for a moment, I felt everything shift, inside and out. When it was over, I looked in the mirror. My transformation was complete. Permanent. I was no longer just Alex. I was a new version of myself, one that could never go back. The thrill, the fear, the tension, all of it culminated in this moment. MIA stepped closer, her hand brushing mine. You look amazing, she said softly. And I guess this is really you now. I nodded, a mixture of relief and apprehension washing over me. Ryan watched silently, a small smile on his face. The experiment was done. But outside the window, the world remained unchanged, unaware of the transformation that had just occurred. And deep inside me, a new tension took root. Acceptance, identity, and the unknown future awaited. The room was silent after the final process. I stood in front of the mirror, tracing the curves and lines of my new body, still adjusting to the permanence of the transformation. The heels clicked softly on the floor as I shifted my weight, my hands trembling slightly. Alex, the person I had become, was now undeniably real. MIA watched me from the doorway, her expression a mixture of awe, curiosity, and something I couldn't quite read. It's incredible, she whispered. Her words were soft, yet carried an intensity that made my heart thump. I tried to smile, but a wave of uncertainty washed over me. Could she accept this? Could I? My mind raced through every possible scenario. What if she thought it was a game, a stunt, or worse? What if she judged me? Ryan, standing quietly to the side, finally broke the tension. This is your new reality, he said, voice calm. How you navigate it, that's up to you. I nodded, feeling a mixture of exhilaration and dread. The thrill of the experiment was still there, the adrenaline, the excitement of stepping fully into this new identity, but so was the fear. Fear of exposure, fear of rejection, fear of losing the life I once knew. MIA stepped closer, tilting her head as if studying me. So, this is permanent, she asked again, softer this time. No turning back? I swallowed hard. Yes. Forever. My voice wavered slightly. Her eyes softened, yet a shadow of worry lingered. I need time to process this, she admitted. But I want to understand. I want to be here for you. But her voice trailed off. The silence that followed was heavy. I could feel the weight of uncertainty pressing down, my own, MIA's, and the unspoken questions about the world outside. How would my friends react? My family? Would anyone else even understand what had happened? Ryan broke the moment with a quiet chuckle. Well, that's why we call it an experiment. Life's full of unknowns. I forced a small laugh, though my heart pounded. Yeah, unknowns, I echoed. Suddenly, the apartment buzzer rang. My stomach dropped. Who could it be? MIA's early return had already thrown me off balance. Another unexpected visitor now could unravel everything. MIA's eyes widened. I'll get it, she said, moving toward the door. I froze, my heels clicking against the floor as I considered running, but there was nowhere to hide. My reflection in the mirror reminded me. Alex was out there now, fully visible, permanently transformed. There was no retreat. She opened the door. A man's voice called out, muffled from the hallway. Package delivery. Relief washed over me, but it was fleeting. MIA took the package inside, still glancing at me with a mix of suspicion and curiosity. I realized then that even small moments now carried immense weight. Every glance, every interaction could reveal my secret, test my confidence, or expose me entirely. I moved toward the mirror again, adjusting my hair, my skirt, my posture. The reflection staring back at me was unfamiliar, and yet familiar, the duality of who I had been and who I had become. A thought struck me sharply. What if the experiment had only begun? Even as I admired the physical transformation, I knew that the real challenge was ahead, navigating life as Alex, permanently. Handling relationships, work, friends, family, all while keeping the balance between past and present identities. The adrenaline of the experiment was nothing compared to the tension of living this reality. MIA's voice broke through my thoughts. I think we need to talk, she said softly, stepping closer. I nodded, heart pounding, aware that the conversation ahead could change everything. Would she accept me? Would she see Alex as the same person she loved, or would this new form create a barrier too high to overcome? And then the phone rang. I froze, staring at it as the ringtone echoed through the apartment. MIA glanced at me, her expression tense. I didn't recognize the number. My pulse quickened. Could it be someone from Ryan's lab? Or someone who had noticed the experiment? MIA picked up, listening for a moment before her eyes went wide. She turned to me, face pale. Did someone asking questions about you? About what happened? I felt a cold sweat break out. My secret, my transformation, my new life, everything I had just begun to accept, was now at risk of being discovered. Ryan stepped closer, a subtle warning in his eyes. Don't panic, he said. Handle it carefully. I nodded, though every muscle in my body felt tense. Alex, poised and transformed, now had to confront not just MIA, but the outside world. The story ends with me standing in front of the mirror, the phone in MIA's hand, tension thick in the air. The future is uncertain, and every choice from this moment onward could reshape my life forever. Will MIA accept Alex fully? Will the outside world discover the truth? And, most importantly, am I ready to embrace this new, permanent identity with all the risks it brings?